What is encounter worship? Encounter's vision or mission statement is to bring a supernatural encounter to this generation through a demonstration of His Spirit and power. And to me, that's exactly what worship is. It's not about music. It's not about a band. It's not about people.
I remember when I joined the band, I was very young, and I never thought that I'd experience God the same way these people experience God on stage. At a very young age, I learned that encounter worship is more than just singing the songs. We take what we encounter. I can speak for all the band members that we all encountered grace heavily, knowing that when we sing, we are anointed, and just reaching and giving out that anointing to the rest of the congregation is just amazing.
Encounter worship for me is a sound of revival, it's a sound that brings freedom, it's a sound that ushers people into the presence of God wherever we go, no matter what city.
We are very aware that worship is alive. It creates atmospheres where people really do encounter the manifest presence of God and get introduced to the personhood of Jesus Christ.
People from all walks of life come every Sunday. They serve the Lord through their talents. They bring whatever it is that the Lord has given them, and they give it to the people.
I remember in 2015 when myself and my wife, Pastor Taryn, we lost everything. And we had just fallen pregnant with a child, obviously, and 8 weeks in, Taryn miscarried. And I didn't understand why, if the Lord gave a prophetic word and He gave a promise, how it didn't happen and why certain things happened. And I remember I sat in front of the piano and I started playing chords, and the Lord said to me that you are now going to sing what you've been telling people about. You are now going to sing faith because you've been preaching about it and speaking about it. But you are now going to be tested with the words that you've been telling people. I felt the presence of God so strong when I put my fingers on the piano and the words came to me that goes, and in my deepest valley, nothing can separate me from your love. Your hand will always guide me. I know that you're right beside me and you'll never let me go. And I realized in that moment that God was actually testing to see if I could still sing about Him and sing in faith and not just sing on a stage claiming that I know Him. And it was pretty real at that moment, because it's easy to sing on a stage and it's easy to sing in front of people in an audience. But when you have to stand on a stage and sing about a God that you're questioning because of stuff that has happened and life has gotten real, that's when real worship is birthed. And I believe God honors that.
There was a season that came into me and my husband's lives where we lost a lot of relationships. A lot of people, it was very valuable relationships, and it felt like a very dark place for us. We felt extremely alone. I remember one day just sitting on my floor while my baby was sleeping, and I was like, Lord, I don't have anything to say. I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to find the energy to read the word right now. Even singing songs that are already written with lyrics just felt like it wasn't saying what I wanted it to say. And I was, all of a sudden I felt like God was like, just sing what you want to say. Because for some reason when it comes to singing, that's easier for me than speaking to. So I just started singing, genuinely what I felt to Him, and I just encountered Him so powerfully in that moment. And He came and He met me that day on the floor where I felt completely alone and completely deserted. I felt like He was there. He showed up. And for me, that's a moment worship became very, very, very deep and very, very real. And I realized who I was singing to. And I started singing from a completely different place, because now I started singing to my lover, and the one that shows up, no longer just singing a genre.
Growing up, I felt alone. I had no real friends. And I remember this led to me acting out a lot. And at some stage, I felt like, okay, I'm a failure. And there was a point where I remember I got home. I was in varsity. I got home, I went on my knees, and I was so angry. I don't know, I was acting out. I was so angry, so much pain. And when I was on my knees, I remember just worshiping. And as I was worshiping, the presence of God that I felt was out of this world. In that moment, God revealed himself to me as the one who sees me. I felt so insignificant, and he was there for me. And in that moment, I knew that worship isn't about me. It's about who he is. He was the friend I had when I had no friends. He was the father I had when I felt like I have no father. And I think that's how worship has changed my life.
I'm not sure what age it was, but I think it was the age of 14 or 15. And at that time, there was so many things going on. I mean, like, it was hormones and all these things. I was very young, but there really was a lot going on. And I think my mom saw that I was not okay. She tried everything that she could, tried to take me to people to talk to. It just didn't work at all. And I think there was just, because I didn't know what worship was. I didn't know how to worship. And I got home and I was like literally ready to just like end it all. Like, I was like, God, I'm tired. Like, if you're a God, just do something, just show me something. And it was in that state that it was in that state where I literally, it was as if I forgot everything that happened. I just played worship music and I worshipped. And I didn't even understand why I was worshiping, because it felt like I was going through hell. At that time, I didn't understand what perseverance is. I didn't understand what resilience is. I didn't understand any of that. And I worshipped, and I literally became so real with God that I cried. And I remember getting out of my room and I ran to my mom and I was like, Mama, I just saw Jesus. I didn't see Jesus. But I know I felt such a hectic presence in my room that I didn't walk out the same. She was so shocked. Like, how is she so joyful? We tried everything. And now she's like completely different. And I think that's what made worship real to me, because it wasn't just the worshiping of the song. It wasn't just the crying. It wasn't just the pain I constantly thought of. It wasn't just, it wasn't that. It was the presence of God in worship that changed my life tremendously.
I was very broken. I felt like I had nothing to offer. I had nothing to give. I was just a person, basically. And I was just kind of like a wallflower. And in that season, when God spoke to me about stepping into the worship team, I was shocked, I was reluctant, and I couldn't understand why God was saying all these things. Going to worship or going and rehearsing and now having to like step onto the stage, and it was so daunting for me. But in that season, I realized that God was working on my identity. And as God was working on my identity, worship became real. And I started realizing that I was not worshiping for myself. I wasn't worshiping because I'm wonderful and fabulous and great. I was worshiping the King of Kings. He was real. He was there. And he was going to use me, not because of myself, but he was going to use me because of himself, because he could. He could take someone who was so broken, who had nothing to offer, who was so tearful, who had nothing to bring. He was going to use that person, and that person happened to be me. Because of my lack of identity, I couldn't connect. I couldn't sing. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take correction. I was all over the show, but he was still there, and he held my hand every time, every Sunday, at home, wherever, and he guided me on this journey. And obviously, we never get to a point where the journey is over. But it's comforting knowing that he will always be there.
You know, we can so easily quote the scripture to worship God in spirit and in truth. And for me, over the past 2 years, worship has become so real to me. You know, becoming, in a very short time, becoming a pastor, becoming a husband. You know, I had to go through a lot of stuff in a very short time period. But there was a few months ago where me and my wife went through a very difficult season, and I was standing on stage, and for the very first time, I had to understand what it means to worship Him in truth, because we can worship Him in spirit, but to be raw and real before God is not always easy. And I was standing on stage, and for the first time, the words of every song made sense to me, because when we go through a battle, we go through a season where we go through trials and testings. I was standing on stage and we were singing "Battle Belongs," and for the first time, I could declare, "Lord, the battle belongs to you." And the presence of God just invaded me and carried me through and carried us through. And that is for me the power of worship, carrying you through in a time where you don't feel like you want to worship, when you don't feel like God is even there, and you still push through and you worship and He comes through for you.